Who made the lady suit? Who? I have questions.
Before we dive too deep, I want to say that this video will contain some spoilers and we'll be touching on some heavy topics. Viewer discretion is advised. This deep dive isn't a frame by frame review, it's just more of a commentary on how true crime material reflects us, our obsessions, our desensitization, and how we process darkness from a safe distance. Originally, I'd planned to react to the entire series, but after finishing it, I'd realized there's more to say about the man behind the crimes, the storytelling, and honestly, about all of us who watch. So, Ryan Murphy strikes yet again with his latest installment in the Monsters anthology, the Ed Gein Story. Before we begin, let's talk about the positives in the series. The cinematography is stunning. The attention to detail, chef's kiss, color grading, amazing. Sinful cold cuts? Yeah, moving forward, this is the official way that I will refer to deli meat. So, I can't get over that. There's an element of horror filmmaking that I'll always love, the eerie fascination with the macabre. But the series takes that to another level. There's a line between exploring darkness and glorifying it. In Monsters, the Ed Gein Story tiptoes dangerously close. Once upon a time, Murphy nailed storytelling. American Horror Story's early seasons, Pose, he struck gold. But lately, it feels like everything's made for shock value instead of substance. That said, it seems like he's intentionally staying away from more recent crimes now, likely because of the backlash from the Dahmer installment and the response from the victims' families. Maybe this is his way of navigating that line, exploring horror without reopening fresh wounds for the people affected. And honestly, retelling stories that most of us are already familiar with starts to feel like an easy cop out as a showrunner, a way to lean on notoriety instead of crafting something truly new or challenging. Which brings us to an even trickier topic: how we humanize monsters and the stories they inspire. Now, we can humanize these people, yes, but two things can be true. They can be complex, even broken humans, and still be guilty of their heinous crimes. This season flirts with a duality, but at times it almost romanticizes it. It even draws parallels between Ed Gein and the fictional characters inspired by him. Psycho, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Silence of the Lambs, showing how real life horror inspires art. But where does inspiration end and exploitation begin? When should morality intervene in inspiration? And it's not just about art, it's about what happens when reality itself gets twisted by obsession. What struck me the most was seeing Ed's early struggles and the ways he tried or could have tried to get help, and how little support or understanding he seemed to receive. I can imagine that someone already suffering from hallucinations would struggle to distinguish reality from delusion. Or someone like Ed, who was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia and had lived so much of his life in isolation, seeking help isn't as simple. He may not even realize he needs it in the first place. Decades later, we still have more access to mental health resources than ever, yet outcomes haven't improved for so many people. This makes you think, what could have been different if the right support had been available? In the series, we see Ed spiral, obsessed with violent comics, blurring his senses of morality and reality. Inspiration shouldn't come at the cost of someone's humanity. This could have been a series exploring whether criminals like Ed could redeem themselves or how proper resources and support might prevent tragedies. Instead, it focuses on the sensational, and that's worth reflecting on. And then there's the other side, the audience itself. One of the most disturbing moments for me was seeing people rush into his home, buying up his belongings, even his tools he used in the murders. It's like people are drooling over tragedy, and honestly, are we any better now? I mean, just look at how people whip out their phones to film somebody's last breath or share a corpse online for clicks. We've become desensitized as if the horror of real life is just another episode to binge. Because fascination doesn't just stop at consumption, it seeps into obsession. I think about this a lot. The human attraction to danger. There's almost an act of defiance in the obsession with killers. A quiet, I know I shouldn't, but I feel like we've turned serial killers into celebrities, as if being one is a profession. It's strange how quickly fascination turns into fandom. Year after year, we make documentaries, movies, and TV shows that remember the killers and their heinous acts. But year after year, we always forget to remember the victims. So, with all this in mind, can someone like Ed Gein ever truly be redeemed? I want to pose a question. Can someone like Ed Gein ever truly be redeemed? Is redemption even possible for someone who's done what he did? Maybe redemption isn't about reintegrating people like that into society, but about what we do with their stories, how we use them to understand, to prevent, to grow. Because as much as this story is about Ed, it's also about us. And maybe that's the part we should all reflect on the most. And maybe that's the real monster. We, the audience, are innocent. We fed the fascination. We make these stories trend. We say it's for awareness or psychological curiosity, but maybe we just crave the thrill of fear from a safe distance. And yet, the series chooses its own version of closure. The ending of the series paints Ed in a strangely sympathetic light, but it can't erase the horrors he committed. What stays with me isn't just Ed's story, but how we, the audience, consume these tales. Our fascination, our desensitization, and the fine line between understanding and glorifying. As creatives, storytellers, and content creators, we have a responsibility in how we handle or retell these stories. It's not just about shock or entertainment, it's about context, reflection, and the way we influence perception. And that makes me wonder, are we giving too much airtime to these killers and their stories, and not enough to the victims and the lessons we could actually learn? True crime isn't just about the killers, it's about us, our curiosity, and the responsibility we carry when we engage with it. And as much as the story closes one chapter, it also opens another. Because Ryan Murphy isn't done yet. The next installment in his monster anthology turns its gaze to another name etched in American true crime lore. At the end of the Ed Gein story, we see that there's already a Lizzie Borden installment in the works. There's literally an entire series on this already, plus a made-for-TV movie on Lizzie Borden. I get that Murphy wants to retell the story with his own spin on it, but it's already been covered plenty. At the end of the day, Monster, the Ed Gein story, isn't just another entry in the true crime genre. It's a mirror, one that reflects our culture's fascination with horror and how easily that fascination can turn into an obsession. Year after year, we make documentaries, movies, and TV shows that immortalize the killers and their crimes, but somehow we always forget to remember the victims. Ryan Murphy may keep reimagining these tales, but maybe the real story worth exploring is our obsession with them, how it shapes our empathy, our entertainment, and even our ethics. So I want to leave you with a question. Are we giving too much attention to the killers and their stories? And as a storyteller and creator, what responsibility do we have when retelling these narratives? If you've been thinking through the darkness with me, drop a comment down below. I'd love to pick your brain. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives and commentaries like this. Be safe, have a spooky Halloween, and I'll see you in the next one.